Hi YouTube, it is Leslie here, and for this week's tutorial I thought we would wrap this really cute little black obsidian. Obviously you can see from my fingertip it's quite a small stone. So I'm going to keep this one simple. I haven't got a design in mind at the moment, so I'm just going to let this one flow. I'm going to be using round wire, and I'm going to be using silver filled. So this is from the Scientific Wire Company, and this is 0.8mm, which I think is 20 gauge. So I'm just going to start by cutting myself. How wide is the stone? I'm going to go with three base wires. So we'll just snip them. They're not really massively long, probably maybe 10 or 11 inches. And if you've watched my videos before, you'll know by now I eyeball everything, so I'm terrible at measuring it out, and obviously sort of trying to be consistent with that, but it just works for me. Obviously, you know, you do you, and obviously just kind of enjoy however it feels good for you. So I'm just going to straighten these 3 wires out. Oh, it's raining cats and dogs outside today. It's horrible. Right, so 3 wires. We're going to be using a silver filled weaving wire as well. This is 0.4mm or 24 gauge. I think it's 24 gauge. So I'm going to do something a little bit different on the base of this one. So I'm actually going to do like a weave pattern. So what I want to do to start off with is just do 2 or 3 single wraps around the first base wire. So if I just zoom in, you can see there. Let's get my nails done. And then I'm going to add in the second wire, just trying to line them up at the end so they're not too squiffy. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to do 1, pushing it up. I'm going to add 3rd wire in, and I'm going to go 1 around that one as well, and then I'm going to go 1 around all 3, around 1, around the middle wire, and then around the top wire. And I'm going to try and stay on camera. Around all 3, around 1, around 2, and around 3, and around all of them. So obviously my YouTube channel is quite new, so first off I would really just like to say thank you to all of you who have subscribed, all of you who have spent time watching the videos, liking them, sharing them, commenting. You know, it's really nice to sort of see that engagement, people actually commenting and you know, asking questions, which is fantastic. Exactly what I want the channel to do. If you're not subscribed, you know, just hit the subscribe button, because I do release shorts nearly every day. Saturday is the only day I don't do a short, and then I don't do one on Sunday because it's the day that my tutorial comes out. So if you're following or subscribing, sorry, you will get to see all of those little making process shorts where I sort of show the easy side of making, you know, bits and pieces, oxidizing, pendants, etc. But yeah, hit the subscribe button, join the family, and then just join the party. Okay, so you can see there I've just kind of whizzed through several wraps there, and I'm just going to trim off these base wires, these weaving wires now, because I don't want them. I'm just going to cut that bit off, pull it away. So what I've got now is the base. I'm just going to get my flat nose pliers. I'm going to squeeze it all in, squash it all down. just tidy it up, make it look all nice and tidy. And you can see, let me try and see if I can get it. There you go. So you can see it's got quite a nice little weave pattern to it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this teardrop round side down. So I want my little purple mandrel, and I'm just gonna have a look and see. It's quite a small stone, this one, so I'm going to go small. If I'm too small, then we'll go back and remold. So I'm just going to hold the wires against the mandrel and just wrap it around. And I'm only going to do it so the wires are going straight up, because if I go too far and it's not quite the right shape, then I can adjust. But yeah, it looks pretty good. So you just want to get the stone sitting in nice and tidy. And just make any little fine adjustments just to make sure that everything sits straight. So when you're shaping your wires around your stone, if you just kind of pinch the stone and the wires between your thumb and your finger, and then just gently sort of tease the wires across, so they just come up the sides of the stone, and then just kind of assess where you're at, make sure things are central. And don't worry if the stone falls out, we're not there yet. That's our next stop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some little chain nose pliers. I'm going to grab that back wire, twist it in. Same on the other side. Grab it, twist it in. So I then get this little sort of kick in. So when I put the stone in, it's not going to fall out now. It's going to sit there nice and tidy. So what I'm thinking with this one, is if I just get the wires in the right place for the bail, and then I'll start to look at design. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold the stone and the wires there, grab the wires sort of at the top of the stone and just sort of pull them out a little bit. And it just allows me to pull the wires in together, make sure everything is straight, and then obviously I can start to secure the wires ready to build the bail, which I'm going to do with the 0.4 weave one. I'm going to get some of these tools out of the way because it's getting messy. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to cross that wire over the base wires and then come around. I'm going to do maybe 2 wraps all around all of the wires and then push it down. So you want to push it down as close as you can to the stone and then squeeze it in. And then I always kind of just grab that tail and just do an extra wrap there and then squeeze that. And it just helps these wires sit a little bit straighter as you are wrapping them. So then I'm just going to do a couple of wraps around all of them. That will probably do. This is about 7, I think. Just give them a squish, tighten it all up, lock it all in. With this tail, I am going to pull it through this gap so it's coming in above the stone. I'm just going to grab my chain nose pliers again, and I'm just going to pull that stone through and try and get it as tight as I can, and then going to weave it back around, go again, and then I'm going to go the other way. So I'm just going to go around the other side of this pendant, come back up and through, squish, oops, and then I'm just going to give it a little snip there, get rid of that. So then we've got no sharp edges facing towards the back of the pendant, which is obviously going to be the bit against the skin. So what we can obviously do here is we can now excuse me, we can now secure the stone in. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to do a kick in at the bottom, and I'm going to do a kick in at the top. So I'm going to get my fingernail in between the first 2 wires, create some space, and then get my chain nose pliers in there, grab hold, twist in. So you can see just got that little kick in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here So I'm going to come to the other side on the top of the stone, and I'm going to do the same action and kick in. So what you can see there is you get this opposite effect. So you get the bottom and the top. The stone is still secure, it's not going anywhere, and it just gives it a little bit of a different vibe. So let's just think about this. What are we going to do? So I think I'm going to do the bail from the back 2 wires. So I'm just going to bring, right, that's one of the back wires. I'm going to bring these 4 that are closest to the front out. And then what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to keep the bail simple, but I'm going to do it as a weave, and I'm going to mimic the weave that's down here. Am I? No, I'm not. I changed my mind. This is why I like wrapping without a design, because it allows you to change as you're going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around both of them once, and then I'm going to go around one, and then I'm going to go around the other one. And I'm going to go around both, then I'm going to go around one and the other one. And we're just going to keep that pattern. And I'm not going to do a wide bail. I'm going to keep this one quite simple, because black tourmaline is, I mean, black obsidian even, could be worn by male or female. So if you start making it really fancy, obviously it's going to become more of a feminine pendant. Whereas if you sort of keep the wraps sort of quite simple, straightforward, it could be either. It could be a more masculine or a more feminine one. So yeah, so we're just going to do this weave, one around each wire. Oops. And then one around both. I'm just going to keep that going until we've got enough to create the bail. Now, obviously, you don't have to sit and watch me do every single one of these weaves. You can fast forward until the bit where we get to the next step. You can stay with me and wrap in time with me. That's entirely up to you. I did debate whether or not to actually even take these bits out of the tutorials, and you just sort of, I show you the pattern and then go off and do it off camera. Let me know in the comments if you know what you think, if you prefer it that way. I'm always sort of trying to let you guys who are watching sort of guide me in what I'm doing, same as I would do with all of my social medias. Really, I just kind of let my followers and things just sort of tell me what they want, and then I try really hard to give them what they want. So every now and then just get your pliers in there, give it all a big smush. I'm going to have to try and adjust the angle of my camera as well, because I feel like I've got my hands too far away. Oops. Okie dokie, so let's push that down. A few more. But like I say, you can fast forward out of these bits. You don't need to sit and watch me wrap every single weave. It's your choice. But anyway, we're nearly there now. So I always thought, you know, when I first started wrapping, that these kind of weaves were really, really difficult. It's not the weave that's difficult, it's holding the wire at the right tensile. So, you know, if you've got tension on the wire and you're pulling the wire, it might misshape, it might kink. So it's not actually the pattern of the weave that's difficult, it's making sure you're working with the wire in the right way. So I sometimes do it where I swap from what I'm using now, which is silver filled, to silver plated or sterling silver, and they all behave very differently, but my brain automatically goes to how this one behaves because I use it most. But there we go, that's plenty. So just give that a little bit of a squish all the way up, Just flattens it all out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this weaving wire around one of the base wires a couple of times and snip it off. Move that to one side. And then I'm just going to get my chain nose pliers and squash that in. This is a terrible tutorial, isn't it? I'm sorry, I keep going off camera. I'm only human. Right, so let's give it another quick smush. There we go. So then we're going to get our bail making pliers. It's entirely up to you what size you do your bail. I'm just going to lean that forwards a little bit so it kind of sits nice. And then I always just gently I don't grip tight with these. It's a very gentle hold, and then I just sort of gently ease the wire around. So I think I'm going to take the shorter of these two wires and I'm just going to pull it around so it goes around the front, and I'm just going to wrap it a few times around the neck of the pendant, and then when I get to there I'm going to snip. Oh, I've got space to do it here. So I'm going to just take that end and I'm going to just try and feed it. There's not much of it there to work with, but I'm going to try and feed it in over the top of the stone in between these wires. It's going to be a little bit awkward because there's not much of it there, and there is not much space above that stone. So you just want to gently kind of tease it in nice and slowly until you get to a point where you can give it a squeeze and it locks it in. Now if it comes out the front, that's okay, because what we'll do is we will get our flush cutters and take it off, and there you go. Right, so let's think about design. So let's get this nice and straight. So what I'm thinking, is I might weave some of this and create shape with it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this wire, because it's not a massive pendant, so I don't want loads of wire sort of hanging about. I'm just going to do that. So I think, yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this off, and then I'm going to wrap that around this back wire. So I'm just going to gently tease it around. I'm going to lift this one up a little bit. I'm just going to take that wire. Oops, not lifted it up enough. Take that wire under, and then just secure that wire. So we've got one less wire to look at and think about. Yeah, nice and tight on there. No sharp edges. Lovely. So we've got nothing getting in our way now. I'm going to swap those two over. Okay. What I think I might do, like I said, I'm going to weave a bit of some of this. So I'm going to do a two and two weave. So what I mean by 2 and 2 is I'm going to go 2. I need more of that to hold on to. Come on, that's it. I'm going to do 2 single weaves around this bottom wire, 1 and 2. I'm then going to come up and over the top of both and go 1 and 2, and then 2 around the bottom wire, 1 and 2, 2 around this one, so together 1 and 2, 1 around the bottom, 1 and 2. So you can start to see the pattern forming there. Now I am going to do this one off camera, otherwise this video is going to be really long, so hold that thought and I will be back when I am ready. Okay, so all I've done is I've just worked that weave all the way up. I'm just going to give it a bit of a squish squish, get it all nice and tidy, and then I'm going to trim this tail because we don't want that. And then we can start to shape. There you go. Right. So one side we're going to have this weave. The other side I might leave plain actually. And I'm still attached to the reel on this just in case I need to add a bit more. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pull these wires this way a little bit. So you can see they're coming over. And then I'm going to start to gently guide them around. Now, because you've got a weave, it might try and bend a little bit out of shape. But if you carefully tease it around, you should be able to shape it if you're using a softer wire. So you can see and just shape it up there. So we've got that shape coming out and round. Now what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to come in front of it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight in for a swirl and try and keep the wires so they're sat next to each other, and you just gradually bring it round so it meets back up with the other wires. So now we have a bit more texture up in the top there. Now with this one, I'm kind of feeling like I'm going to remove this tail for a start. Get this out of the way. So let's just lock that down. There we go. Kind of feeling I want to go this way with it. Now I don't mind if that wire runs out. You see where we've got the pattern? You might want to carry the wire on for longer, but I actually think sometimes the change in texture can be quite an interesting detail on the pendant. So I've pulled these ones this way, those ones this way, and I think if I can secure these without everything moving, so let's just get these secured down, get rid of those end bits. So we're going to do exactly the same to secure these wires as we did at the beginning. So we're just going to lift this base wire up, and then one wire at a time we're just going to gently bring it down, pull it around, squeeze, trim, and then lock it. So you can see that's there. And we'll do this one. So we're just going to coax it around, draw it back, snip, and then lock the end in there. Ooh, flying wire. So that's one side locked in, and then this side I think, yeah, I am just gonna pull it around, and a design doesn't need to be any more difficult than that. Obviously you will do more difficult designs, but I sometimes think that less is more. Pendants with a lot of detail only appeal to certain people, whereas pendants with less detail can appeal to everyone. So from a, you know, from a sort of a selling perspective, if you are selling your pendants, I think less is more. But everyone is their own individual, so you know, whatever you fancy, wherever the mood takes you. Some days I do really intricate designs, some days I just do really simple ones. It's just where the mood takes me. Okay, so there we have it. a very, very simple black obsidian with a bit of a swirly detail. I'm just going to give that a quick buff. Get the shine, get the fingerprints off. So if you're using silver filled wire, you can oxidize this. I don't tend to oxidize silver, although I've done a few. But there you go. So a very simple, straightforward, easy beginner's smaller pendant. So we've got nice small stone. So if you try that one, or you use any of the techniques in this tutorial, let me know how you get on in the comments. Share your, come and share your pendants with me on, Facebook. I'd love to see them, and obviously if you've got any questions, I'd love to try and help. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video next week. Take care, everyone. Bye.